All right, so I want to talk too about like testing priorities. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the overall testing theory and our thoughts on that, but let's talk about a little more detailed test priority. Like, should you write tests that fail and then write code to correct them, or should you write code and then make sure it's tested fully?
Well, I think you have different people with different opinions. So like the TDD, they believe in test first, which will fail, and then you write your implementation code to make them turn green. Whereas there's others like, oh shoot, what's his name? David Hennemeyer Hansen, the
Yeah,
Rails,
DHH, yeah.
yeah, DHH, the creator of Rails, he doesn't necessarily always 100% do that approach. He sometimes does his implementation, then he does the tests afterwards. To be honest, I rarely do tests first. I've done it, but because of a lot of the development, it depends if I know where here's the thing. It depends on, do I know where the end zone is, where the goal line is? What is my goal? If I know my goal and the exact implementation of what I need to do, like this very specific requirements, then I might do tests first because I know that's the destination I'm going for. So like if I'm developing and working on my own product, I might do that. Excuse me, let me take a step. I meant to say, if I've been handed requirements, then I might do the tests is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But if I'm trying to feel through a new feature and kind of like, what should this do? And I don't know what the right result will be, I'm probably not going to write tests when I'm doing exploratory work, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So if I like kind of work through and trying different iterations to see what kind of works best from a product perspective, I'm not going to do tests first with that, or at least historically I haven't. But then once I have kind of my design, I'm like, okay, what tests do I need to do this? At least that's what I do. What do you do?
Well, I think you bring up an important distinction. It depends on the environment. So, for instance, like you said, if I've got a design department that's handing me, here's the features, here's the feature list, here are all the stories, then I write tests first. And in fact, I'll probably lay out most of the tests for a area of the code, and then go over them with the designers and say, is this exactly what you meant, before I even start writing code. And then I write code to make them pass. If you're doing, like, obviously skunkworks type stuff shouldn't be test first in most cases. And possibly emergency fixes for things. But here's the problem I've run into with trying to make those determinations especially in a team environment, is that if I don't test first, there is always a rush from sales and marketing. We want it yesterday. We want it yesterday. We want it yesterday.
Yeah.
If I don't test first, I'll never write the tests.
Yeah, because
in
it's
those
like,
environments.
hey, I got it working. We want it, we want it, we want it. And they're like, but I need to do the test. No, we got to get it out now. Ew, and we now need this other thing now.
Right. And then we're caught in the eternal struggle of putting out constant fires because we don't have tests to make sure we're not screwing something up when we develop their new feature that they want.
Yeah.
The problem is in most cases, it's really hard to convince people outside the development team that tests are a really good idea and that time should be spent on those. And so that's kind of the constant battle that you have to fight, especially in if you're like a team lead or a senior programmer and you're having to interface with those other departments and those other stakeholders. That's a big, I don't want to call it a battle. It should never be seen as a battle, but it's really hard to convince those people that this is worthwhile stuff and not just window dressing.
There's the comment again, window dressing.
It just, that stuck with me so hard when I had it. I mean, those were the words he used, and I was like, what? Are you serious? And the other thing is you have to, and this comes with experience, you want to get good at determining which things need tests and which things don't. You don't normally need 100% test coverage on any product, because there are a lot of things that aren't worth testing. They're so trivial that it doesn't matter. Is this button come out red or green or blue, or, you know, what color is the button? Unless the color of the button signifies something and it changes, there's no reason to test something like that. So, but you can't just say never test the color of something.
That is window dressing.
Right. But I have been in situations where the color of something was incredibly important on that screen, and so we wanted to test it to make sure that it never got out of whack. So you can't just say never test color stuff, because could be that you need a test for that. It depends, and that's the experience thing, is knowing when not to bother testing something and it's not worth the time. I typically will err on the side of caution and say, if I don't know whether I should test it or not, I test it. I can always take the test out later if it's not useful.
If you like this clip and want to watch another one, you can click right here. Or if you want to watch the full video, you can click here.